The small village of Okode was always shrouded in quiet whispers and unspoken truths, nestled in the shadow of a great forest. It was a place where traditions ran deep and rumors of dark rituals lurked on every tongue, though few dared speak of them openly. In the heart of the village lived a man named Boba Sigan, known to many as a widower and father to a bright-eyed, innocent girl named Tenny. Tenny was 12 years old, delicate like a spring flower, her laughter softening the harshness of life in the impoverished village. She was the pride of Boba Sigan's home, and her presence reminded him of better days. Yet, behind closed doors, something far darker brewed in Boba Sigan's mind, an unbearable weight of desperation. Boba Sigan had once been a wealthy cocoa merchant. Riches flowed to him like water, and he walked the village with the air of a man untouchable. But as greed tightened its grip, Boba Sigan made reckless decisions that drained his fortune. Now, he was nothing but a shadow of the powerful man he once was, mocked silently by villagers who watched him grow gaunt and restless. One day, Boba Sigan sat with a soothsayer, an old woman with 1,000 lines on her face and eyes like dark voids. She spoke to him in a low, ominous tone, her voice slithering into his ear like smoke. "Your destiny holds wealth, Boba Sigan," she hissed. "But wealth comes with sacrifice. Blood. A life given to the gods of prosperity." Boba Sigan's heart froze. He knew the tales of money rituals, secret sacrifices offered to dark forces in exchange for unimaginable riches. These tales were often whispered to scare greedy souls away, yet a flicker of temptation lodged itself in his heart. "A life, you say?" Boba Sigan whispered. "Whose life?" The soothsayer smiled slowly, her teeth a jagged row of yellow. She leaned close and spoke the unthinkable: the closer the blood, the greater the reward. Boba Sigan staggered home that night, a storm raging in his mind. His thoughts returned to Tenny, her kind eyes, her voice calling him Boba. But the devil's whispers followed him. "One child for riches beyond your dreams," the voice echoed in his mind, growing louder each day. As hunger gnawed at his belly and shame clawed at his pride, Boba Sigan began to see his daughter differently. Her innocence became a weight he could no longer carry, her laughter a mockery of his failures. Days turned into weeks, and his resolve twisted into something unrecognizable. One night, when the moon hung low and full, Boba Sigan approached Tenny as she sat near the fire. She smiled up at him, unaware of the dark intent that stained his soul. "Come, Tenny," he said softly. "We are going to the shrine tonight. The gods will bless us." "Bless us?" Tenny asked curiously, rising to her feet. "Is it a prayer?" "Yes, my child," Boba Sigan lied. "A prayer." He led her deep into the forest, his hand clutching hers tightly. Tenny followed him without question, trusting him as all daughters trust their fathers. The path was lit only by the moonlight filtering through the trees, and soon, they reached an ancient shrine where darkness seemed to breathe. The shrine was a small clearing littered with symbols drawn in ash and bones. In the center stood a stone mortar and pestle, blackened with age. Boba Sigan's knees wobbled, but greed stilled his resolve. He heard the soothsayer's voice again, urging him to proceed. "Boba, this place feels strange," Tenny murmured, her small hands trembling. "It is for us, Tenny," Boba Sigan said hoarsely. He gestured for her to sit near the stone mortar. She obeyed, her trust still unbroken. As the forest seemed to close in around them, Boba Sigan picked up the pestle. His hands shook as his gaze fell upon his daughter, her small frame, her tear-streaked cheeks as fear began to dawn in her eyes. A whisper clawed at his mind, telling him this was his last chance to stop. But desperation drowned all hesitation. "Forgive me," he muttered. Tenny's scream pierced the forest as the pestle fell. Birds scattered from the trees. The wind seemed to howl in protest as the unimaginable happened. Boba Sigan, blinded by greed, pounded his daughter alive. By dawn, the shrine was silent. The forest had swallowed the echoes of Tenny's cries, leaving only Boba Sigan standing alone beside the bloodied mortar. His hands were stained crimson, his eyes vacant as he stared at the silent earth. The soothsayer's promise resounded in his mind: sacrifice brings wealth. Sacrifice brings prosperity. Days turned into weeks. Boba Sigan returned to his home, waiting for his reward. But no riches came. Instead, the whispers began. It started with the villagers. They spoke of screams carried on the wind from the forest. Then came the sightings. Neighbors claimed to see Tenny at the edge of the forest, her eyes hollow and her mouth bloodied. She appeared at Boba Sigan's window each night, a shadow of the child she once was. Soon, Boba Sigan could no longer sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Tenny, her broken body, her pleading gaze. One night, driven mad, he fled into the forest, his mind shattered and his cries echoing through the trees. By morning, they found him. Boba Sigan was lying lifeless in the clearing of the shrine, his body sprawled next to the cursed mortar and pestle. A single word was carved into the earth beside him: greed. The village fell silent. In the days that followed, the tale of Boba Sigan spreading like wildfire. Parents warned their children never to stray into darkness for promises of gold, for some prices were too great to pay. And in the depths of the forest, the wind carried a soft, sorrowful laugh, the voice of a child, forever lost to the greed of man.